Hey guys, this is your opening line report for EPL Matchday 6. I'm going to try and breeze through this, not feeling too good, have been sick for the last 4 or 5 days. So going to try and make this one as quick as possible. The action starts at 12:30 p.m. on Saturday with Man United travelling to Brentford, where the books have Manchester United as a 21-20 plus 105 favourites, 13-5 on the draw, and it's 12-5 here on Brentford. The underlying numbers for Man United are good so far this season. We are having the most shots. We are dominating games in possession. We are underperforming our XG. We should have scored the second most goals in the Premier League so far if everything that should have been a goal was a goal. And obviously that's important because that turns draws into wins. It turns losses into draws, which should have specifically been the case against Arsenal. Should have got a draw from that game. Should have won the game against Fulham. Man United really have put out 2 really bad performances this season. One was the Manchester derby when we let that game go out of control when we were chasing it. And obviously against Grimsby, we were poor from the off. But I've got to think that we should win this game. Brentford are a team who I think will be a relegation contender this season. I've said that from the start. I have to remain consistent with that I've not been a fan of their business, not been a fan of their managerial appointment, although at the moment it seems to be fine. And Brentford are where most people expected them to be, not really me, because I expected them to be worse than this. But there is still time for the bottom to fall out here. They're not exactly lighting it up at the same time. They're not a out-and-out definitive relegation contender. But I do think if they do survive, it will just be because certain teams are so poor, namely Burnley, namely Wolves. But here, I think Man United should go to Brentford and win this game and build on the fact that we beat Chelsea last weekend, even though it was against 10 men. Up next, you have Man City at home to Burnley, where Man City are the 1-6 favourites. It's 7-1 on the draw. It's 12-1 here on Burnley. Look for Man City to win this and to win this with a clean sheet. They absolutely own this fixture. They have won 17 of the last 18 head-to-heads. They've won 14 straight. In 12 of those 14 matches, they kept a clean sheet. So Man City to win to nil is probably the wisest selection here against a Burnley team who, whilst they have competed against some of the bigger teams, they are still toothless in front of goal. And I don't see them creating too many chances here at the Etihad. Up next, you have Liverpool travelling to Crystal Palace, where Liverpool come here as a 5-6 minus 120 favourite and with a 100% record. It's 13-5 on the draw. And it's 3-1 here on Palace. Ekitike's second booking means he does miss this game, which means you have to put Isak in from the start. And Arne Slot has just been constantly talking about how he's not fit enough to play a full 90 minutes. So that may be costly to Liverpool. And ultimately, at some point, their luck is going to run out. And it could come here against the Crystal Palace team, who aren't really being spoken about enough. But they're unbeaten in 18 games now, dating back to last season. And in that sample, they've played Liverpool. They beat them in the Community Shield. They've won an FA Cup against Man City. They've travelled to Chelsea and not been beaten there either. So I'm going to take them here in a double chance market to be able to avoid a defeat, to extend that to 19 games. This is a difficult place to go. Liverpool have been riding their luck. And if the game is level going into injury time, you know what to do. Hedge Liverpool around about 10-1 to pick up the win here in this one. Up next, you have Leeds at home to Bournemouth, where Bournemouth come here as a favourite of 13-10. It's 11-5 on the draw, and it's 2-1 here on Leeds. This, for me, is one of the more difficult games to do, simply because we just saw Leeds win last weekend away to Wolves, and Bournemouth, they weren't able to get the breakthrough against Newcastle, despite being the much better team. Bournemouth have never won as a visiting team travelling to Leeds, but I do think they can end that drought when they go to Yorkshire on Saturday. The Cherries have picked up 10 points from a possible 12 since losing their opener against Liverpool in a game where they probably should have got a point as well. So I think they are the better team, and I think they'll benefit from the fact that Leeds will have more onus on them to attack because they're at home. Bournemouth aren't quite seen yet as a regular established top half Premier League team, and therefore when you see them coming to town, the expectation for Leeds supporters will be that we should beat Bournemouth. We're a bigger team than Bournemouth, we have more supporters than Bournemouth, we have a bigger ground than Bournemouth. All of these things are true, but Bournemouth are a better team than you, and I think the supporters will find that out on Saturday. Up next in the late kickoff, you have Tottenham Hotspurs. Oh, sorry, I've missed a load of games. I changed my page and missed a load of games. Up next, you have Chelsea hosting Brighton, where Chelsea are a 4-5 favourite. It's 14-5 on the draw, and it's 16-5 here on Brighton. Brighton couldn't get over the line last week against Tottenham despite being 2-0 up, which would have been great for a Bet365 bet. This is a really difficult game to call because Chelsea have just been massively inconsistent. They did end a winless run of 3 games by winning in the Carabao Cup in midweek, but they scraped to that win against Lincoln. This is a different team without Cole Palmer. I'm not sure Cole Palmer is going to be available for this game. I think I'll still take Chelsea, though, just because they were good enough without Cole Palmer to get results earlier on in the season, including a winning away to West Ham. But Brighton are a different proposition. This, for me, isn't a play that I'm high on, but we do pick every game, and I lean Chelsea. Up next, you have Ange Postecoglou's Nottingham Forest hosting Sunderland, where Forest are a 10-11 favourites, 12-5 on the draw, and it's 7-2 on Sunderland. I have this marked as a spot where Ange Postecoglou should win his first game. I'm a bit worried that they played in the Europa League, but they were impressive against Betis and unlucky not to win that game when Anthony bowed out Betis yesterday. Here, I do feel that they'll pick up their first win under Ange. I've been impressed by what they've been doing attacking-wise. It hasn't taken long for Ange to make this team a more potent attacking threat, whilst not relying on playing a low block and implementing and winning the ball in transition and playing counter-attacking football. They still look a little bit disjointed at times when they are defending, but Sunderland are a team you need to worry about. I think this is Ange's first win, so take Forest here in this spot. Up next, you have Tottenham as a 1-2 favourite at home to Wolves. It's 10-3 on the draw, and it's 11-2 here. It's 11-2 here on Wolves. The only thing that worries me about this game is the fact that if Wolves lose it, they've started with 6 straight defeats. And that's something that doesn't happen in the EPL very often. The bad teams, when they get desperate, usually do find a way to pull off a result. And the most Spursy thing for Tottenham to do would be to find a way to lose this game after having a pretty solid start to the season, although they were beaten at home to Bournemouth. They have won 3 of the last 5 Premier League games. All of those victories have come by 2 or more goals, and Wolves remain without any points on the board, and they've shipped 12 goals in 5 games, which would be the most concerning thing. So I would take Tottenham -1 here, which boosts up your 1-2 -200 to around about 10-11 -110. You win this bet if Tottenham win by 2 goals or more. You lose this bet if Tottenham don't win the game. If they win by a single goal, nothing happens because it's just simply a push. Up next, we are moving across to, where are we? We're moving across to Sunday, and we're looking at a game here between Aston Villa and Fulham, where Villa are 5-4 favourites, 21-10 on the draw, and it's 23-10 here on Fulham. Villa have only scored 1 Premier League goal so far this season, so I can't do anything with Villa games at the moment unless it's taking the unders. Unless I see a strong performance for them tonight against Bologna, where they get themselves back on track, it's very difficult to take Aston Villa. And I want to take some normalisation here with the data, and I want to specifically take Aston Villa at home because they've been a monster over the past couple of seasons. But until I see that they can solve their goal-scoring problems, it's really difficult for me to take anything but unders for Villa games. Up next, we move on to what is probably the game of the weekend as Arsenal travel to Newcastle. Arsenal travel to Newcastle as a 6-5 +120 favourite on the money line. It's 9-4 on the draw, and it's 12-5 here on Newcastle. Arsenal actually hate this trip. They've only won at Newcastle in 1 of their last 5 attempts. And I do feel this is a situation where Arsenal do need to answer their critics. They're receiving heavy criticism at the moment for their points tally, which is 10 points from the first 5 games. But as someone who picked Arsenal to win the league this season, I only projected Arsenal to have 11. And I felt that if they had 11 points from these first 5 games, that would have been a decent return. People forget their opinions at the start of the season. We all looked at the fixture list when it came out, and we all knew that Arsenal had a really difficult start to the season. To add even more weight to that, after this game, after 6 games, I only had Arsenal on 12 points. I had Arsenal picking up points away to Manchester United, away to Liverpool, and away to Newcastle because I know the history of this fixture. And I had them winning all of their home games. So essentially, I was conservative. I gave them 3 away points and said that they wouldn't win any of their first away games. And they would win all of their home games, including beating Man City. And that would put them onto 12 points. They have a chance of beating my projection by winning this game and putting themselves onto 13 points. So I think the criticism of Arsenal has been a little bit dramatic, given what people thought at the start of the season, because we all knew that they had been handed a tough start. And this is a tough game. They've only won, as I said, one of the last 5 times they've been to Newcastle. And I think this is going to be a low-scoring game as well. Whilst I do think it's a game that Arsenal must win, I think under 2.5 goals stands out here for me because only 6 goals have been scored across Newcastle's 5 games. Only Liverpool have scored against Newcastle so far this season, and they scored 3 times against them, but everybody else haven't scored against Newcastle. Arsenal, for their side, have 5 clean sheets in 7 games across all competitions. And I think this is going to be another game like this one usually is, where defences come out on top. And I think it's going to be decided by a key moment, a mistake, a moment of brilliance. And I'm going to be with Arsenal here because I just feel they desperately need to win. They need to answer those critics by picking up a win in this one. And this will be a significant win because obviously Arsenal's own supporters will know the history. People know the history of this fixture. It's one that Arsenal have notoriously struggled in. And up next, we close out by looking at West Ham travelling to Everton, where Everton are a 4-5 favourites, 5-2 on the draw, and it's 18-5 here on West Ham. David Moyes gets to play against West Ham. He delivered a trophy to them and they sacked him. His team will be massively motivated here for this game. Also, you better win because you allowed yourselves to exit the Carabao Cup by rotating. I don't agree with that. For me, I don't think Everton are a team who are in any danger of being relegated. And I also don't think they're a team who could secure a European place this season. So I hate it when those teams who are expected to finish between 9th and 16th in the table decide that they are going to relinquish a cup competition with rotation. Your fans deserve a run in the cup. They deserve for you to attempt to reach a cup final and to give them that day at Wembley. And I don't agree with what Moyes did. And when you do that and you prioritise the Premier League, you better win your next game. Luckily, you're playing West Ham. They're woeful at the moment. And I'm going to take Everton to pick up the win here in this one. That's it for me and your opening line report. Until next week, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.